Hi, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel where we focus on using ordinary materials to make beautiful things. Today I want to talk about a treasure trove of art and embellishments and ephemera that you probably already have sitting in your house. Coloring books. So a lot of us have coloring books that we've colored parts of, maybe not all of. I have a plethora of them. I have stacks of them. Many of them were given to me as gifts. I really like to color. I used to draw coloring book art. So I have a lot of coloring books. So I just want to kind of flip through and talk about how you might use some of the art that you see in a coloring book in your junk journal. So this, I look at this and I think this would be great for Halloween. I might, if I want to do a Halloween layout or some kind of scary movie layout, I might use that. I look at these, I look at things like this, and I know I could cut out the center thing, or I could color all this. I could use a decorative punch and make little punches. I could make labels out of the background, put a piece of book page or something over it so that I could write on it. So there's lots of that kind of opportunity. Here again, I can punch things out. I can look at those. So some of these are things that would just be background, and then some of them I can take the whole image. This one's kind of large. There are smaller images. Something like this, I could take just the dolphin. If I were gonna do some layout about the ocean, I might have this dolphin, I might cut it out and put it in the background, or I could use the whole thing as part of my background. If I wanted to gesso part of it and keep parts, I could use parts of this. I could use just the flowers here. Once I've colored them, I could cut them out, or I could, I could color them specifically for my journal. Something like this, I could put some gesso over and use as an interesting background texture page. I might do some stamping over it, but it already has some interest to start with, so I wouldn't have to add as much stuff to it. So you get the idea with some of these kinds of things. Look at this with the butterflies. Isn't that beautiful? Mushrooms, which are very popular now. Right? I can color those any way I want. Here's a page that is started. This particular coloring book, I believe, belonged to my mother-in-law, and she gave me this one, so I think she started that. It could have been somebody else. She gave me quite a few of them. Something like this, I could color the whole thing and keep it. I could punch parts of it out, or I could just take the little cap. I look at that and I think that would be a cute little cap. If I were doing a paper doll and I wanted a hat, that'd be a great hat for a paper doll. Let's look at a couple of the other ones. Something like this, again, themed. I have several of these from Creative Haven that have themes. This one has owls. I have another one that has cats. But there was a page in here I wanted to show you in particular. Here it is. All of these small motifs around the edge. Wouldn't those be really great for on clusters or to add to a snippet roll? Something like that would be really fabulous. It's small. You could just tack it right in there. You could treat it like a sticker and glue it down somewhere. So anything like that. Here's some kites. Right? Not to mention the owls, of course, but lots of these have small little things that you could use in all kinds of places. If you got something from a museum like this one, you could use this for paper dolls. Like you've got a bust here, so we could use that. I mean, you could use just the head, right? Would this not make a great paper doll set? So you could use the head, you could use the body, you could switch them up. A lot of times you can put animals and stuff on your paper doll if you changed out the heads. That would be a lot of fun. If you have something like this that comes with, that came from maybe a park or someplace where you visited that has animal wildlife from that particular area. I was thinking about this because I liked the birds in this one. This has a lot of cool birds in it. There was one in particular. Should have marked the page. Probably closer to the back, huh? that I wanted to show you. This I think would be great. There's rabbits. Those are a lot of fun. A lot of people use rabbits in their layouts. Here's the one I wanted to show you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 butterflies that I could color and cut out that I wouldn't have to buy somewhere, and I don't have to draw them. I simply have to color them. And again, there are things in here, if I wanted to do something particularly for like a Halloween something, I could do this. I think this would be really fun to color it and cut it out and then give him like a little trick-or-treat bag, like he's carrying, like this is his costume. I think that would be a lot of fun, kind of inane and a little fun. This is beautiful, would make a really pretty background piece. So let's see, something like this that has the Art Nouveau designs. The cool thing about this one is a lot of it is in columns. So when you color it, you just cut out the strip and you can almost treat it like a wide washi tape. I think it'd be really cool. Let's see, this one's almost a wallpaper, which would be really great. Look at this. So if you color this and then you just cut it in strips, you could treat it like washi tape. You could cut it in half if it was too wide, if you wanted it to be thinner. Same thing here. You could have a half a strip or a whole. Right? On this one, if you wanted to cut out some of the motif, you could. If you wanted to just punch some designs, you could do that. You could use the whole thing as a backdrop. Right? So lots of those repetitive designs have a lot of things that you could use in them. This one is really cool. Another Creative Haven. This one has it's like 4 coloring books in one. So it has really great flowers in the back. Everything is floral motif, but it's different styles. So something like this, you could cut out the roses if you just wanted to put some flowers in there and treat them like a sticker. You could use the whole background. So you can always fussy cut parts. You can use the whole thing as a background. You can use a focal point. So here you could use this, or you could get rid of this part and just fussy cut some of the flowers. Like I would cut here and maybe take this part of the greenery and have like that. I think that would be really beautiful as a focal point on a collage page. If you were going to make a master board, some of this stuff would be beautiful on a master board. You could do this. You could take this one. You could take these two. You could take some of the leaves and spread them out over a master board. Look at the leaves. So if you were going to do something like that, again, here you don't have to keep the vase. You could just take the flowers. This would be really cute on a cluster or a snippet roll, right? So that kind of thing. If you have different images, if you have images that look more like these, you can still do the same things. It's just a different style, right? So you can cut these out. If you have a circle punch, you can, if you don't want to fussy cut the flowers, you can just punch around the flowers and you'll get kind of the flower, even if you don't get the whole thing. If your circle punch isn't that big, if it's this big, you're still going to get something that looks like a flower. So you might circle punch some of these. You could punch other designs as well. And then look at these. Talk about paper dolls, right? All you have to do is color them. And then you have a beautiful paper doll to include. So here's actually one that I already colored. I was going through and I found this one in here, so I cut her out. So I just fussy cut her, and I cut around her arms and stuff, even though you can see I kind of cut where the flowers are. But my intention is that I'm going to go in and like put some jewelry on her arms and maybe have her carrying something. So this will get covered up before I finish with it. So I cut it around there so that I could get up in here. But I could put a bag or something hanging here so that she has a purse. She's got her hand kind of tucked in a pocket over here, so there's some space. So I could do lots of things to this. I could ink this up. I could add some paint to the top of it. I could add some gel pen on it. I could add some glitter. I could add some jewels. I could do all kinds of things to make her different and interesting. If I wanted to, I could use her head separately on a different body. I could cut the dress. I've cut this part out, and I could just cut up around the dress and use the body with a different head. Like if I took her arm and took it off here and up around here, I could put an animal, you know, a bear or a cat or a dog or something. I think would be really cute, like wearing this fun dress and the paws sticking out down here. So you don't even have to keep it just the way it is. You can use it as any paper doll you would use. My point here really is that there's a lot of great art sitting in your coloring books. This one is particularly interesting. This has Tiffany stained glass designs, and it's on vellum. So it's intended to color and put up against a window so that you get light through it. But if you colored it and put a printed page behind it, you might still see some of the printed page because you can see through it. It's vellum. If you didn't color it, you could just use the printed part. I'm thinking this would be a really cool front of a card. That would be neat. Like I could just put that down on top of something that I had collaged on. I might use a piece of something as a tuck spot if I just use this. These are window designs, so they have, a lot of them have these bars already in them. So what a great little tuck spot that would be. I wouldn't even have to color it. I could just use the vellum. I just have to cut out, you know, cut out the black parts and put that down as a tuck spot. So I think there's a lot of really cool stuff here. Let me show you some different ways it might look. So I pulled out one of those flower motifs. That's the repeating motif. Looks like this. And I kind of cut it apart into little pieces. And so I have 4 of this repeating motif that all look the same. So I colored them all the same way to start with. And I'm going to show you each one of them. They're a little bit different. So I colored them all with Sharpies. Now I like bright colors and I like using sparkly things. In my book, you can never have too much bling. There's no such thing as too much bling, right? That's kind of my deal. So I'm all about bright colors and bling. So if I wanted to keep that bright color, if I were going to use something bright in my journal, I might just bling it up a little bit. All I did was add a little bit of glitter, just, you know, a little bit of glue and glitter. Let's see if I can kind of hold that in there so you can see it, to the centers of the flowers. And to me, that looks like some of those stickers that we pay a lot of money for that have just had some glitter added to them, and we pay a lot of money for those. Now, if you're not as crazy about the bright colors, you could do this. This one, all I did was I went in with some vintage photo and I just covered the whole thing with a light coat of vintage photo, went around the edges so they're a little bit darker. So I just kind of antiqued it down a little bit. So it's the exact same color. It was exactly the same. I colored them all the same way, but that has some antique, has some vintage photo distress ink on it. That's all it is. So that one makes it a lot more subtle, I think. Not nearly as vibrant, and maybe something that would fit into a junk journal better, depending on the page. This one, I just covered the whole thing in gesso, which makes it really become part of the background. So if I used something like this in a master board, and then I went to use it and I put a little bit of gesso on it, I could just kind of, you would still see that it's there, but it wouldn't be, look at me, I'm a flower, right? It would be part of the background because the thing would be gessoed out. Here's another one that I put some gesso on, only this one, I wanted to calm down the color without losing the definition. So after I gessoed it, I went in with a black Sharpie and I just outlined it again. So I just went along all the lines with my Sharpie so that I toned down the color a little bit, but kept the definition. This one, I didn't tone down the color. These were kind of a cornflower blue, And instead of using actual glitter, I used glitter gel pens, which is a little more subtle. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm hoping the light is catching that. I'm trying to move it so you can see in the light maybe. So I put some gel pen in the middle and along the edge and around the petals, just to give it a little definition. So these are a little more subtle. These are a little more out there, bright. So things that, things that you could put into your journal. So I think some of the advantages of using a coloring book as artwork for your journal is because you have colored it, so you have had a hand in creating the picture. Yes, someone else drew it and you're using something like that that's pre-printed, but nobody's going to color it the way you did, and you can color it any way you want. A lot of times people buy the digital stamps where you can resize it and print it and then color it. So it's the same kind of thing if you already have a coloring book and especially if you've already colored a lot of the things in it, then you have stuff that's ready to go. It's pre-made. You just have to cut it out and put it in your ephemera packet so that you can use it in your journal. It brings some individuality to your journal. It creates things that nobody else has. You're not going to find this in a pack of something that you bought in the store. It's going to be something completely individual and completely yours. So to me, that makes it worth the time to color it, makes it a good use of things that I've already colored, because I don't want to just throw them away. And if I leave them in the book, I'm not looking at them in the coloring book. They're not doing anything but sitting there. So if I can figure out some way to incorporate them into something I'm already doing or already using, like my journal, then that just gives me more bang for the buck for that coloring book. It's a 2-for-1. I get the fun of coloring it, and then I get to cut it up and use it as ephemera in my journal. So I hope that you found some value in this today. I know we didn't do a full project, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that I do to add interesting ephemera to my journal, and I'm sure you'll be seeing these things in a coming spread. So if you found value here today, please hit the subscribe button and be sure you ring the bell so that you get a notification when new videos come out. I have videos coming out 3 times a week. We have Motivational Monday, which we do a glue book page and focus on a quote, and the glue book page is based on that quote. Then we have on Wednesday some sort of craft journaling project. Usually it's an upcycling something like this, on the order of this one. And then on Saturdays, currently I am working on a very large mixed media art piece for my own home at my husband's request. So I'm walking you through all of the steps that go with that. So there's lots to see every week. I hope you will join me. So until next time, remember to use what you have to make your life more beautiful. Have a great day. Bye.